Alright, all you high-scoring champions out there, welcome back to the Indy Radio Arcade. And here's hoping somewhere in the near future we can actually do a New Game Plus for Tales of Berseria to try to unlock all of the bonus things that we could for the game. I mean, we already got everything on our first run, but I look to get to 200 by my second playthrough of the game. And not to mention, it would be the first Tales games we would actually do a New Game Plus for, seeing the fact that it's at level 200. So I look to take advantage of that. Too bad I couldn't stream it because of the whole thing with Namco, but that's a story for another day. Because for right now, folks, I think it's time for us to go ahead and check out some games on high display with some high scores along the way for another edition of the Indy Wall of Fame. And the first game that we have up comes from the developers Ricardo Huerta, nice name by the way, with their said game, Skit. And this game automatically reminds me of not only I Am Legend, but a little hint of Z Nation in there as well. And here's hoping in the near future, and according to the Maestro, he said you can already do it, which is upgrade your areas to help out people. But here's hoping you can also, during the day, search for people to help you defend the base as well. And according to the Maestro, you can. Nice! Now, if only this game was multiplayer so you can play alongside with your friends, that would be a bonus in my book. And the next game that we have up comes from the developers Aluba Studio with their said game, Cyber Manhunt. And this game automatically reminds me of a combination of not only Watch Dogs, but a little hint of where in the world is Carmen Sandiego, with a splash in there of, Mr. Robot. Yeah, definitely Mr. Robot, especially with the lead character wearing that hood, reminding me of Mr. Robot. And here's hoping in the near future for this game that they give you the ability to actually get whoever's gonna come after you while you're hacking into other people's information during this game off your trail. You know, like the ability to actually hack into the news and change the news feed to look for someone else. Sort of like what they already do for Watch Dogs. And the next game that we have up, besides hacking people's lives sort of like The Matrix or Mr. Robot, comes from the developers Vorstellungskraft with their said game, Dogfight. And this game automatically reminds me of a combination of not only Ace Combat, but also a little hint of Flight Simulator in there as well. And here's hoping in the near future, besides getting a chance to upgrade your planes, here's hoping you get a chance to use different types of planes, including the Red Baron. Cause I don't get a chance to see it often enough in games, and I got a feeling this game might be it to have one. Here's hoping. And the next game that we have up comes from the developers Twisted 2 Studios with their said game, Dark Fracture Prologue. And this game automatically reminds me of Condemned. Yep, definitely reminds me of Condemned with a little hint of Silent for the Room in there as well. And here's hoping in the near future, and yes, Maestro, I am gonna say it because one of the pictures features you with a camera, and I got a feeling that camera's only gonna help you out for so long in combat. So here's hoping that just like in Condemned, you can get anything from a room to try to use as a weapon, like a table leg or a fluorescent bulb or a baseball bat, something to defend yourself against these creatures that'll most likely rip you through the walls for you never to be seen again. And yes, Maestro, I do believe a baseball bat can stop that from happening. And the last but not least game that we have up for this week, besides creatures that are going to try to grab you through the walls in the middle of the night, comes from the developers Image Power SA with their said game, Ambulance Simulator. And this game automatically reminds me of that show on Fox 911 with a little hint of the trauma center unit from the TLC channel. Yeah, and a little hint of that one game I played where you have to help soldiers on the field. It was some World War II game that I don't remember the name of, but it's a cool game and I hope it's still online because it reminds me of this. And here's hoping in the near future that not only you get a chance to heal people on the floor, but you also get a chance to load them up into the ambulance and try to treat them as you make your way back into the hospital. Because I got a feeling that one person with glass in their shoulder may need some help inside of the ambulance while making their way to the hospital itself. Yikes. That's a big piece of glass that Maestro showed me that got pulled out of that guy's shoulder. Ugh. And with that gruesome scene we just seen in the game, folks, I think it's time for us to go directly into the high scores for this week. And the first high score that we have up comes from the gamer Zeus1 with his high score of 172,410, a part of the ZX Spectrum game of Xenon. Or is it Zenon? I don't know. Anyway, next game we have up, or high score, comes from the gamer Omar Gettin with his high score of 190, a part of the Nintendo game of Atari's Greatest Hits, Volume 1 Bowling Game 1. Not bad. Also, besides that, you have none other than Namco Player with his high score of 75,690, a part of the Game Boy Advance game of Famicom Mini Volume 8, Mappy. Next high score that we have up comes from none other than, once again, Omar Gettin with his high score of 7,796,615, a part of the Game Boy pinball game known as Pinball Mania Jackpot. Next high score that we have up comes from none other than Bam Mees with his high score of 141,100, a part of the Mega Drive game of Eliminate Down, which I'm not sure if that's a giant oversized rocket launcher or a rocket coming at him, but congratulations on the high score. And the next high score that we have up, besides that rocket catastrophe we just saw on screen, folks, comes from none other than Score Chaser Pony with his high score of 19,399, a part of the SNES game of Tetris Attack Normal. And the next high score that we have up comes from Oyama Family with his high score of 353,670, a part of the Atari 7800 game of Pac-Man Collection Pac-Man Cherry Plus Off Fast On. Man, a lot of settings for that game. Anyway, next high score that we have up after that comes from none other than Babo Fett with his high score of 859,800, a part of the Genesis Mega Drive game of Street Fighter II Championship Edition, Champion Difficulty 4. Nice! And the last but not least high score that we have up for this week comes from none other than Mark with his high score of 32,216,000, a part of the PC game of Hot Pinball Thrills Beach. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out any other cool high scores that are still coming through the Twitterverse as we speak, you can head on over to the Twitter page of one man only known as @highscore, or head on over to their website known as highscore.com to win cool prizes for your high scores. And like we say all the time on this show, folks, is a fair trade. And the high score to wrap up this summer of RPG, and I got a feeling will be untouched throughout this entire year, comes from the high scoring champion, none other than Resident X1X, with his high score of, get this folks, 549,106,644,390, a part of the PC game known as Crimzon Clover World Ignition. Yikes! That might be the highest high score of all time here on the Indy Radio Arcade, unless we've seen somebody once go into the trillions. Is that the case, Maestro? No? Alright. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out any other cool games that are still coming through the Steam machine via the cargo ship, cargo plane, or subterranean train that is currently rumbling underneath your toes, you can head on over to the store.steampower page, only known as store.steampower.com, and just click ever so lightly on that upcoming button, as well as clicking on that Indy button along with it, to check out some cool and powerful games that might be strong enough to take out a dragon, or even, dare I say, an elder dragon before they breathe fire and almost mess up your favorite shirt like it did mine. Yeah, Maestro, you owe me money for that shirt. That's for getting the cave wrong. But besides all that, folks, I think it's time for us to head back into that music one more time. And when we return, we'll be back with another grand edition of the $64,000 question right after a word from our sponsors. So don't skip out on that bonus round just yet, folks, and stay tuned.